and welcome to my YouTube channel. Here I talk about music that I love, albums, artists, and the stories behind them. And I would like to start with the fact that every year I get completely obsessed with one album. And last year it was Metal by Pink Floyd. And I know that many fans and critics do not see this album as their most important work, but for me, Metal shaped the sound of everything that came after. I absolutely love this album. And so one day I came across information claiming that Metal had lyrics written by Syd Barrett. And I did some research, but I couldn't find any official records or any proofs to confirm this. That was the moment when I realized that all the Pink Floyd music I was familiar with had already been made without Barrett. And this is the reason why I decided to listen to their first album, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And today I want to talk about why this album is so unique and why Syd Barrett was the true mastermind behind it. This album was released in August 1967. It was the time when psychedelic music was at its peak, and the counterculture movement and the influence of psychoactive substances played a major role in shaping it. And in general, 1967 gave us many iconic releases. For example, my all-time favorite, the band The Doors, released their debut album, and not only their debut album, but also their second album. But I won't dive into them for now, as they were in the US and Pink Floyd in the UK. Instead, here's an interesting fact. The Piper at the Gates of Dawn was recorded at the same time as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles, and these two bands were working just a wall apart from each other. And you might think that this would make their albums sound very similar and familiar to each other, but that wasn't the case at all. While Sgt. Pepper was more baroque and experimental in sound, its lyrics still focused on love, everyday life, and romance. Meanwhile, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn felt like a journey into other dimension. It was pure imagination and abstraction, and instead of storytelling, created surreal, dreamlike worlds. Out of 11 songs on this album, 8 were entirely written by Syd Barrett, and he wrote about space, chaotic trips, fairy tale gnomes, biker and mice. So you can clearly see that his lyrics felt like a mix of childlike fantasies and psychedelic experiences, and this is exactly the reason what makes Piper so unique among debut albums of that era. And if Sgt. Pepper was an experiment in pop culture, Piper was a complete break from reality. It was a musical journey into surrealism and the subconscious. And as you have probably already figured out, all of it was thanks to Syd Barrett, so I can't help but talk about him. He wasn't just a member of Pink Floyd, he was its heart and soul. His vision defined the sound of the album, and he didn't just guide the process, he created this album. 70% of the songs on Piper were entirely written by him, and he co-wrote also the rest. The artwork on the back of the record, it was also his work, and if you're gonna check Pink Floyd's YouTube channel, you could see that in their early music videos, he was the main figure and the entire atmosphere of the band revolved around him. And by the way, the name Pink Floyd was also his idea. However, after The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, Syd began experiencing some serious mental health issues. He became very unpredictable, sometimes standing on stage without playing at all or playing something completely off track. And during the concert, he would sing the wrong lyrics or just stare into space. And this was the reason why the band started to slowly distance him from the creative process and from the band itself. At first, they invited David Gilmour to support Barrett during live shows, but very quickly David completely took his place, and the second album that Pink Floyd recorded can no longer be called a Barrett album, as he wrote and performed only one song, Jug Band Blues, and this is probably one of the saddest songs ever written. It describes how Sid realizes his mental decline and that the band is pushing him away. And after that album, Sid permanently left the band and Pink Floyd moved forward, developing their new sound. So, as you can see, Sid Barrett's story is a true tragedy. He was the driving force behind Pink Floyd's early sound, but his struggle eventually forced him out of the band. But still, his influence didn't disappear, and even though the band evolved without him, they never forgot him. So, if you have only listened to later Pink Floyd's albums, I highly recommend going back to where it all started and let me know in the comments if you have listened to The Piper at the Gates of Dawn and what do you think about Sid Barrett's legacy.